The first day Kale Voss walked into the Imperial Star Academy, she did not look like a weapon. She looked like a mistake. Her boots were scuffed, not fashionably worn, but actually falling apart at the seams. Her uniform hung a half size too large. Her dark hair was pulled back with a simple cord instead of the regulation magnetic clasps that every other cadet wore. And her file, said she was from Draven 9. That was the first thing the other cadets noticed. Draven 9, a death world. A planet so hostile to life that even the Imperial military used it as a dumping ground for failed colonization projects. A place where the gravity was 2.3 times standard, where the atmosphere carried acid-laced storms for 8 months of the year, where the predators had evolved over millennia into things that made seasoned soldiers weep. Nobody survived Draven 9. They just delayed dying. So when Kale Voss sat down in Formation Hall, quietly, calmly, without ceremony, the whispers started immediately. Did you see her file, Draven 9? She must be some kind of charity case. A political enrollment. She won't last a week. The cruelest of them was Cadet Harlan Drex, the son of Fleet Admiral Drex, top of the class rankings, with a jaw like a marble sculpture and the moral compass of a broken satellite. He sauntered over on the very first evening and dropped her meal tray on the floor. Deathworld trash doesn't eat in the main hall, he said loudly, loud enough for 30 cadets to hear. Laughter followed like an obedient hound. Kale looked at the spilled food. Then she looked at Harlan. Her expression didn't change. She picked up the tray, cleaned it herself, refilled her plate, and sat back down, in the same chair, in the same hall, and ate in perfect silence. Harlan didn't know what to do with that, so he did more. Over the following 2 weeks, her bunk was vandalized. Her training scores were tampered with. Someone put corrosive gel inside her helmet, the kind that would burn if it touched skin. She found it before she put the helmet on, examined it with quiet eyes, and reported it to no one. She just adapted. That was the thing about Draven 9 girls, they always adapted. What none of the cadets knew, because none of them had read past the first page of her file, was the full record of Kale Voss, age 19, survived Draven 9's surface alone for 4 years after her colony's evacuation shuttle was destroyed. Tracked and neutralized a Razorback Stalker, a creature classified as threat level Omega by Imperial Xenobiology, with nothing but a plasma blade and terrain knowledge. Walked 40 kilometers through an acid storm to reach the emergency beacon. The Imperial military hadn't enrolled her as a charity case. They had recruited her. And the man who had signed her enrollment form was Commander Aldrich Sen, the most decorated tactical officer in the Empire's Eastern Fleet, a legend in 3-star systems, a man who had once said in a recorded interview, "The greatest soldiers are not made, they are survived into existence." He had read every page of Kale's file. He was watching. The incident that changed everything happened on the 41st day. It was a live scenario training exercise in the Tactical Dome, a massive simulation environment where cadets were dropped into combat scenarios and graded on survival, leadership, and decision-making. The scenario that day was search and rescue in a hostile environment simulation, volcanic terrain, limited oxygen, 20 minutes to locate and extract a downed pilot. Harlan's team went in first. They failed in 11 minutes. The simulated environment killed them. Too much noise, too much panic, no ability to read terrain. Then Kale's team went in. She hadn't been assigned as team leader. She was ranked last in the official standings, because her scores had been tampered with so many times that the system had flagged her profile as inconsistent. She was supposed to be a background cadet, a number. But when her team hit the first obstacle, a collapsed tunnel with toxic gas readings, their assigned leader froze. Kale didn't. She read the gas signature, identified a venting pattern, counted seconds, and moved her entire team through in a 12-second window. She didn't explain. She didn't ask for permission. She simply said, "Follow me, now. Hold your breath, trust the count," and moved. They followed. Because something in her voice made it impossible not to. In 19 minutes and 43 seconds, she extracted the simulated pilot, kept all 4 team members alive, and identified 2 secondary threats that weren't even part of the official scenario parameters. The supervising instructors went silent. In the observation deck above the tactical dome, Commander Aldrich Sen set down his datapad. He had seen enough. What followed happened quickly, and without the dramatics that stories usually require. Sen called a formal review of Kale's records. The tampering was discovered within hours, a digital forensics trail leading back to 3 cadets, Harlan Drex among them. The corrosive helmet incident was re-examined. The destroyed bunk, the dropped meal tray, which had actually been captured on the hall's passive recording system. It was not a small file by the time the investigation concluded. Harlan Drex was arrested on charges of conduct unbecoming, deliberate sabotage of a fellow cadet's training record, and, most damning, the helmet incident, which was classified under Imperial Military Code as attempted grievous harm to a ranked recruit. He was brought to the Academy's formal tribunal in restraints. The restraints were regulation issue, standard, but the sight of Fleet Admiral Drex's son in chains, walked through the same corridor where he had dumped Kale's dinner on the floor 3 weeks earlier, was not something the Academy would forget for a long time. Kale was present at the tribunal. She sat in the third row, straight-backed, expression neutral. When Harlan looked at her, and he did look, with the desperate searching eyes of someone hoping to see satisfaction, or cruelty, or something to hold on to, he found nothing useful. She wasn't gloating. She was simply there. After the tribunal, Commander Sen met with her privately in his office. He was a tall man, gray at the temples, with the posture of someone who had made 1,000 hard decisions and learned to carry them without slouching. "You didn't report any of it," he said. "No, sir." "Why not?" Kale was quiet for a moment. Then, "On Draven 9, you learn that reporting a threat doesn't neutralize it. You adapt around it, you survive it, and you wait for the environment to do what environments eventually do." Sen looked at her for a long time. "And what do environments eventually do?" "Reveal what's weak," she said simply. "And remove it." He nodded, slowly. "Your official class ranking will be recalculated. Based on non-tampered scores and today's scenario performance, you place second in the cohort." A pause. "I suspect that will change." Kale said nothing, but something shifted behind her eyes. Not pride exactly. Something quieter. Something that had been waiting a long time to be allowed to exist. "One more thing," Sen said, sliding a datapad across the desk. "I'm recommending you for advanced tactical placement. The program is voluntary. It's also the most difficult thing this academy offers." She looked at the datapad, then at him. "When do I start?" she asked. The cadets who had laughed when her tray hit the floor did not disappear from the academy. They remained. They had to. That was part of what made it real. But something had changed in the architecture of the hall, in the unspoken map of who stood where. Kale still ate in the main hall, in the same chair. Now, when she sat down, other cadets quietly moved to sit near her, not out of obligation, not out of fear. Out of the slow, dawning recognition that in a galaxy full of people who had been made comfortable, trained in safety, shielded from consequence, she was something different. She had been survived into existence, and she was just getting started. End